a Sunday afternoon in 1991, a Texas-Mexican freight train enters the outskirts of Alice, Texas, heading west between Corpus Christi and Laredo. For most of the second half of the 20th century, until it was merged into Kansas City Southern, the Tex-Mex ran one train a day in each direction between the two end cities, and that one train a day took whatever was going. Laredo held the place of the largest land port in the United States, and Tex-Mex enjoyed more than 50% of that business. A Tex-Mex official speaking to the South Texas Railroad Historical Society said the daily train frequently pulled 150 cars, sometimes even 170. This clip was taped to illustrate a presentation on how to make model train operations duplicate the traffic patterns of the real thing. Statistics of the numbers of carloads of various types of goods carried by Texas freight trains were superimposed over the action. The raw footage was not kept, so this film is what we've got to remember the Tex-Mex before it became Kansas City Southern. The Texas Mexican could run all the way between Corpus Christi and the other end of the line over its own rails. Not so Southern Pacific, which ran over the tracks of two other railroads, plus a terminal association to enter or leave Corpus Christi. Here, also in 1991, an outbound Southern Pacific freight has just left the Corpus Christi Southern Pacific Tex-Mex joint yard near the airport. It starts by heading eastward along the Tex-Mex Agnes Street line. About a mile east of Padre Island Drive, it curves north off the Tex-Mex onto the Savage Lane cutoff, which will take it to the Missouri Pacific tracks, where it will run by trackage rights to Sinton. This shot appeared in the closing credits of my traffic simulation video, and the footage, once more, only exists with these credits on top of it. Southern Pacific used this route to and from Corpus Christi from the opening of the Harbor Bridge to Southern Pacific's absorption into Union Pacific. Besides the railroads that connected Corpus Christi to the rest of the United States and to Mexico, another important rail operation connected those railroads to each other and to the port. All three railroads in town, the Texas Mexican, Southern Pacific, and Missouri Pacific, joined with the port in what was called the Corpus Christi Terminal Association. Tule Lake Vertical Lift Bridge provided a route to the north side of the port to replace the Southern Pacific bascule bridge connection that was broken when the Harbor Bridge was completed. A transfer yard north of the Tule Lake Bridge allowed the railroads to trade cars with each other and with the port. Here, a Missouri Pacific diesel pulls a transfer run south across the lift bridge. The Southern Pacific and the Texas Mexican trains and transfer runs from the Terminal Association were routine everyday runs, but some rail traffic required special arrangements. One operation about 1980 was significant enough I managed to make a TV news story out of it and do my train chasing and photography on my working time. The story showed how the Port of Corpus Christi handled iron ore from overseas destined for smelters in northern Mexico. The ore came in by ship and was unloaded at the port's bulk terminal. It amounted to some 300 railroad hopper car loads to be transported by Southern Pacific. Southern Pacific didn't ordinarily keep 300 hopper cars on hand in the Corpus Christi area, so the special movement involved rounding up empty hoppers from across the SP system, bringing them to Corpus Christi to be ready when the ship docked. Here's one of the iron ore trains leaving Corpus Christi for Mexico. But one train wasn't enough. It took several trains over several days for the movement. I went up on the Leopard Street overpass so I could film pointing down to show hopper cars loaded with ore. But they don't look full, do they? They're only half full by volume, maybe even a little less than that, but loaded up to the limit by weight. Iron ore is heavy, and they could only carry so much ore per car. Our special train and our story ends with something that was still every day back around 1980, a caboose.